it's Randy, and today I'm going to be doing a video on how to do group orders. Basically, this is going to be a follow-up from my, not previous video, but 2 videos ago. You guys know where I did the unboxing of 101 Red Velvet albums. That video basically took off, which 50K might not be a lot of views to people, but for me personally, that's the most amount of views I've ever gotten. So obviously there was a lot of questions why did I buy 101 albums? Did I keep everything for myself? How do group orders work? And all that stuff. So I'm going to address everything in this video. I'm kind of dreading posting this because I really want to hit every point that I want to talk about and make this as thorough as possible. Also, this is probably going to be a very lengthy video. I'm probably going to be talking for 10 million years, and I have a long list of what I want to talk about. I don't want to miss anything at all, so this is going to be a lot of information to absorb, so sit back, relax, and if you guys have any questions, I will try to answer them down below, but please try to scout the comments for if I already answered your question, because with my unboxing video, I got a lot of the same comments of did he even get into the fan sign? Yes, I did get into the fan sign. If you watched long enough, you know, if you had watched the video all the way through, you would have seen the album that I got signed. So basically, I'm going to address a lot of the stuff specific to that video towards the end, but for now, I'm going to be talking about how group orders work. And so if you're a K-pop fan, a K-pop collector, whatever, you've probably heard the term. Why did I say term? You probably have heard the term. Why the f can't I say term? You've probably heard the term group order. Basically, a group order is exactly what it sounds like. It is a mass order from a certain supplier, and usually how group orders work is that they are usually ordered from a supplier and then sent to the group order manager, who then distributes everything. And so people hold group orders for a variety of reasons. I wrote a few down, so if you guys see me looking down, I dropped my phone. I'm looking at my list. So basically there's big and small group orders. Obviously, some people hold mass group orders for albums, which are a lot of the more time consuming kind of group orders, because there's just so much involved with album group orders. And then there's smaller ones where people will just hold them for photo card sets. So first is to save shipping costs. So basically, you guys know that international shipping can be really hefty, so obviously split among a lot of people, it becomes a lot cheaper for everyone else, versus if everyone placed their own order from Korea, then that would be $30 every person was paying for shipping, versus paying $5 or $6 per album for a group order. Sometimes there is an incentive involved, which is basically what my 2 past album group orders have been. With the first one, with the ITZY M-Wave signed one, they were giving away a signed Polaroid to the top 5 people, I believe, who bought the most amount of albums, so that is why I decided to hold my group order. Or for example, for the Red Velvet one, obviously it's a fan sign lottery, so the more albums you buy, the higher chances you have of getting into the fan sign, so basically that is why I decided to hold my group orders. Or people hold mini group orders for sets that they want to break apart. Let's say on eBay there is a full Red Velvet photo card set for day 2, which is basically a group order that I held. And obviously, as someone who only collects Joy, there's 4 other members to be accounted for, so I had people reserve photo cards that they wanted so that the cost of the set was split among everyone, and so I wasn't paying for the set entirely. You could have argued that I could have just bought the set and then sold it off later, which is something obviously you can do, but not everybody has kind of money available all the time. So another reason is to sort random things. As you guys saw in my Red Velvet album group order, a lot of people were confused about why I was opening every album to take out the photo card, postcard, receipts, and it is because I was giving people their top choices. And I'll talk about how I sort priority later on in the video, but basically it just saves people the trouble of trading, because not everybody collects OT5 and some people just collect specific members. And actually I'm holding another group order right now, which is for Red Velvet Le Rouge venue cards, which are photo cards that you can only get at the venue, which is another reason to hold a group order. But basically the cards will randomly come with each album that's purchased, and so I'm holding the group order to hopefully get my bias and then help sort everyone and get their bias bias as well. And the last reason that I have for holding group orders is that sometimes goods are inaccessible, or like especially with fan site goods, because a lot of the times fan site or certain Korean sellers won't ship internationally. They will ask you if you have a Korean address, which I will talk about towards the end because I got a lot of questions about that as well. But basically, like, people will hold group orders to help everyone get the goods that they want. Like, people will hold mass fan site orders or like orders for goods that are specific to a venue just to, like, you know, help everyone out. I hope that was everything that I wanted to say because I'm moving on to my next category, which is how group orders typically work. So I'm going to try to order everything in my head because how I have it written out is really scattered. But basically how group orders usually work is that they are typically, how many times did I just say typically, comprised of 3 payments. Sometimes people will like combine these payments, but typically, like for me personally, there's 3 payments. There's a payment for the initial goods, so like the initial cost of the actual album, and then second is EMS, which I'm going to be saying EMS a lot in this video. It is basically express mail service or whatever, and EMS is the cost for the seller to ship it from Korea to me, so like me being the group order manager, like the middleman, and 3 domestic shipping, which is from me to the actual buyers. So I know 3 payments can sound really intimidating, but depending on how heavy the item is, like it's really not too bad because whoa, what did I just say? It's not too bad because what people usually do is that they will hold group orders specific to their country. So let's say for my Red Velvet group order, so I charged like $11 for the scrapbook version, and then it was like, I think $5 for EMS per album. And then after that, I think the cheapest shipping cost was like $3.50 via media mail. So it's not too bad. And yeah, like obviously shipping within your country is a lot cheaper than doing international ones. So that is why when I usually hold album group orders, I usually keep them within the US because albums are a lot heavier. They're a lot more expensive to ship internationally. Like I think for me to ship an album outside of the US is like $20 or so, like at least like minimum $20, which is a lot of money. I would never make anyone pay $20 for shipping, which is why like whenever people ask me, oh, like will you ever open album orders to international buyers? The answer is no, not because I hate you, but because the shipping cost is so hefty. For things like smaller things, for like photo cards, I typically open those internationally because it is typically like $4 with a tracking number to ship a photo card out, which obviously like $4 is a lot better compared to $20. So my tip to you is to close off album group orders to like outside of your country, but then like open them to international buyers when you are doing smaller things. And with group orders, they are actually like typically a long process because a lot of the times the goods aren't on hand. Like I would say on 99% of the time the goods aren't on hand. So like the person is waiting to accumulate orders and then they will buy it. And then like with fan site orders or like dolls and stuff, like those need to go into production and then they will be shipped out, which obviously like production takes like a month or 2. So yeah, they typically take a while. Okay, if the setup looks different, it's because I literally had to like check if the shot was right because I thought it was a little crooked, but anyways, that is besides the point. So with group orders, as I mentioned earlier, EMS usually gets cheaper with the increased amount of albums that you get or whatever goods. I know it doesn't make sense, like how could adding more items to your order decrease the shipping cost? But like when you divide everything among per item, the EMS like per item is a lot cheaper. Let's say if I was ordering 2 things from K-Town for you, like let's say EMS is like $30, right? I would be paying $15 for every album, and then if I ordered a lot of albums, like for example with my Red Velvet group order, EMS split among the 101 albums was actually $5 per item. So I don't know if that makes sense entirely, but take what you will with that information. And then after the group order manager receives the things, they will typically distribute, is that the word I'm looking for? Distribute the goods. So like for the Red Velvet thing, as you guys saw in my video, I opened all the albums, sorted the photo cards, and basically how I sorted photo cards is basically I had people give me their choices. I had people rank all 5 members from first choice to 5th choice, and I personally sort priority through payment as like an incentive to get people to send their payment early. Some people will sort priority based off of who submits their form first or who submits the EMS payment first, but for me personally it is the initial cost of the item. And now I'm going to be talking about how to basically run a group order. This is going to be very like surface level information, and it's going to be a lot of information, but if you guys have any questions, I will try my best to answer them. Okay, so the first thing with holding group orders is that it is a lot of responsibility. And so since you're dealing with people's money, obviously people are going to ask questions or people are going to want updates. And as a group order manager, you owe them, the customer, because you're obviously like, it's a transaction, so you owe them answering their questions and giving them updates. And how I usually send out my updates, I'm like setting up my phone here, sorry, oh my god, the camera's moving. Why did I just talk so fast? Okay, so basically like how I usually deliver my updates is a variety of ways. In my forms, I will typically collect emails, and so I will do a mass email and send them out to people, or I will post them on my Instagram story, or if you have everyone's Instagram, you can make a group chat on like Twitter, Facebook, wherever, and send your updates through there. And obviously like sometimes not everyone is going to see those stories or like those messages or those emails, so people will reach out and ask you for updates personally. It literally takes 2 seconds to be like, hey, like I already ordered the goods, they're being sent to me, and like all that, you know? So like I said, not to like be shady or anything, but you owe it to your buyers to answer their questions in a polite way. Unless they're being complete dick to you, then go ahead, pop off, girl. Another thing is to collect all of your information through spreadsheets. Google Forms is typically how I choose to sort all of my information, and then you can like connect that to a spreadsheet where they will lay everything out for you. But basically for like really big group orders where I like have over 50 people, like even like over 20 people is a lot of information to keep track of. So I typically have people fill out a Google form, and I might provide like a screenshot of what my forms usually look like, but in the breakdown on the first page, I will have all of the information. I will make sure that everyone knows that it is 3 payments, and that, or like 2 payments if I'm combining the price of the item, and that they like agree to all of the information and stuff. Basically, you guys will see what I'm talking about. And then I will, for like album group orders, I will have people list out their top choices, rank out like 1 through 5 like I said, and they will give me like the quantity of how many things they want or what they want if it's like a multiple order type of group order, and then obviously like their name, address, PayPal information, and then like Instagram or Twitter handle in case you can't get a hold of them through their email. So another thing with group orders is to figure out your pricing. I probably should have mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but basically if you order like a certain amount of albums, like a lot of albums through certain sites, sometimes they'll give you a discount. I know K-Town For You does that. I personally haven't held my group orders through K-Town For You, but if anyone is curious to check that out, I can't give you any information on that personally, but I know that one of my friends said that they went through K-Town For You and they were provided a discount, but you just have to contact them beforehand, and you can't just like purchase it through the site obviously, so you need to like communicate with them so that they can give you the discount or figure out shipping costs. For me personally, like I have a mail scale. I talk a lot about how to ship things in a different video, and I will go ahead and card that on either side, but I will typically look up the item weight on the website and it will say like how many kilograms it is, and then I will go ahead and type that into PayPal and come up with a bunch of domestic shipping estimates and then list them out for people so that people know how much shipping is. And it's just a lot easier to do it that way than I used to do EMS. Like when my first Etsy album group order was that I did domestic shipping once the orders arrived to me because I wasn't sure how much the weights were gonna be, because I didn't know you could look up weights on the website, but it is just so much easier for me personally to ask for domestic shipping with the initial payment, because then that is just like one payment eliminated, because basically like if you can save yourself involve having to send out another email, having to like bother your customers with another payment, then like I just think like that's so much more streamlined and so much easier than, you know, asking for 3 payments. And then another thing, I don't know too much about fan site group orders, but you can look up other videos on YouTube. Like I personally watched one before I made this because I wanted to make sure I hit the points. But basically, if you're holding a fan site group order, always contact the person beforehand if you can even hold a group order. Papago, which I will like put right here because I know it's like kind of confusing, but that is a good Korean translator. It's like Naver's official translator, so it's like more accurate than Google Translate. Do that so that you're letting the person know that you're holding a like group order for your country, and then oftentimes they will promote it under their post. Like they will say USA group order, here's the link, here's the person that is hosting the group order for your country. Obviously like that helps a lot with getting recognition or like people finding out about your group order. My next thing is treat buyers with respect, but I already have that. But it goes both ways. Obviously buyers respect your group order managers. That sounds like super demanding, but I obviously like mean it in the nicest way possible. Your group order manager, like I said, I mentioned earlier in this video, is doing this not to make any money, but like out of the kindness of their hearts, which like sounds like really like romantic or whatever. I don't mean to sound like that, but basically like, they're doing this in their free time. They're not making any money, and it is like their own blood, sweat, tears that they're putting into the group orders. So if you have any questions with your group order manager, obviously like be super nice about it. Don't be like really aggressive, because then you're insinuating like the same kind of response. And the last thing that I won't dive too much into is getting a Korean address. So like I was mentioning earlier, like some people won't ship to international locations. They will only ship within their country. So you can get Korean addresses through paysable or korgou. I'm not sure if I'm saying those right, but I will put them down here. You can also do bank transfers with them. I won't go too much into that info, but basically there is that info because I got a few questions on how to basically like get a Korean address. So I will leave you with that information. I won't go too into depth about it. And now if you guys stuck it out this long, kudos. I'm going to go ahead and answer some of the most commonly asked questions on my previous unboxing video. And first of all, a lot of people were asking me if they could have an album when I literally say in the first 10 seconds that all of the albums are sold. So when you guys see like group order managers unboxing albums or whatever on YouTube, like I said, I only ordered 5 of them for myself. So a lot of the comments are like, can I please have one? Or like, wow, you're super rich and I'm so poor, which is totally not the case. So another comment that I got a lot was, did I get into the fan sign? Which I answered at the beginning of this video, but yes, I got into the fan sign. Oh, a lot of questions were, how do I get someone in Korea to go to the fan sign for me? So for me personally, I went through someone on Instagram called Gravity1101, and I will like put the username right here. You're welcome for the promo. I'm kidding, like we're friends or whatever. So basically like a lot of fan sign slot holders, if you message them asking them if they could like help you hold your slot, at least in my case, I've only done it twice, but like they said yes. If you're going to do that, I highly recommend going through someone who is already in Korea so that like you're cutting out the middleman, because it would be really tedious if you had to go through a supplier and then the fan sign slot holder, and then like you obviously, not a lot of fan sign slot holders will want to give away their supplier. So basically if you can find someone in Korea, then that is the way to go. I personally go through people on Instagram, and I don't know how other people get their fan sign suppliers, but if anyone who holds like fan sign slots knows how to get a supplier, leave a comment down below. Okay, someone said, why do you have to order so many albums for a fan sign? Can you explain the whole concept? So basically how fan signs work is that it is a complete raffle, like lottery type situation, where the more albums you buy is like more entries into the raffle. and then you like get chosen or whatever. And so I held the group order because I wanted to increase my chances, because obviously like 5 albums that I bought for myself versus 101 albums is a lot more chances to get into the fan sign. So that is how they work. Depending on the group's popularity, and if you're a Korean or a foreigner, that like varies the amount of albums that you have to buy. But I will say that foreigners typically have to buy more albums, because there's like, I don't know how like the foreigner fan sign selection works, but like foreigners have a lesser chance of getting into the fan sign. And then obviously like if you're a rookie group, you could probably get in with a lot less albums. Like, I'm gonna be real with you, I probably could have gotten to the Red Velvet fan sign with about like 30 to 50 albums, but I ended up just entering with 101 albums because that was how many albums that I got orders for anyway. So I was like, you know what, let's ball out, let's go all like, I was about to say balls in. Let's go, you know, like, I'm about to dive in. This was already a really long video. I think I'm going to go ahead and cut it off there. I really tried to cover everything as general as possible. If you have any questions and like, if you guys want me to cover anything more in depth, go ahead and leave a comment down below and I will try to get back to it. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope this clears up group order information, like if you wanted to hold your own group order, how group orders work, and all of like my fan sign situation, because there was a lot of questions about my thing, which is understandable, you know, because like 101 albums is insane. But yes, that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and peace out.